At national level, the Department and Ministry of Human Settlements had a briefing today where it was talking about developments in the sector, but also the work of partners. And among those partners that they spoke about was, of course, local government, in particular metros, and how they can come in to help assist in eliminating some of the problems in human settlements. I'm now joined by Seana Nkhahle, who is Executive Director at the South African Local Government Association. Seana, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. Local government, metros in particular, have been given a deadline of March 2025, by which time you should be ensuring that people who have been staying in houses for a long time, more than 20 years, are given their title deeds. Are you on track?
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Mvoko. Good afternoon to your viewers as well.
Seem to have a problem with that line. I don't know, Seana, if you can still hear me. People who have been occupying houses for more than 20 years must be given preference to take ownership. Do you have any idea as to how far the program has gone and whether indeed that 31 March 2025 deadline will be met?
Well, I don't have the exact figures. As I was saying, we are working closely with the Department of Human Settlements. I would like to believe that we will be able to meet that deadline.
And of course, I mean, we know the problems that have plagued this system, where there have been allegations that lists are manipulated. There are syndicates, the minister told us today, who were illegally manipulating the system as well, which only adds to the problems that have already been there.
That is correct. We obviously would need to separate issues of criminality, those who are doing illegal things, and deal with them from a law enforcement point of view. There is also people of goodwill. There are databases and people who are deserving of those units whom we must prioritize. That we will do. Those who are occupying houses, whether it is those ones that need to be handed over, or other land and property, need to be dealt with in accordance with our policies and laws of the country.
Now, if we then associate the incidents of criminality, what, in your view or in your assessment, has actually delayed this process?
Well, it is a complex process. On the one hand, there are people that have been on the housing list since democracy, some of them, others more recently. Some move on, whether they pass on or they get other housing opportunities elsewhere, and they create vacuums. In other instances, there are those who unlawfully take over that vacuum that would have been created. In other instances, it gets even worse, where those rightful owners are displaced, and those who have clandestine objectives then take over. Mm-hmm. It is those that I'm saying we're working together with the Department of Human Settlements, with the different municipalities, to clean up that list so that the rightful owners are allocated their deserving homes that they've been waiting for so long.
A quick one, Seana, if I may. The minister raised particular problems around metros, saying in Johannesburg, in Nelson Mandela Bay, they've had to establish a war room. In the city of Ekurhuleni, they are in the process of putting together one. What have been the particular problems with metros? What is peculiar about them from what you know?
There is a combination of reasons, and firstly, I would like to welcome the intervention that has been provided by the National Department in providing capacity technical support to those municipalities that are facing a number of challenges. It's not just those two, there's a couple of others as well. Of course, the level of difficulties vary. There would be examples where there's governance difficulties, stability or instability. An example of those is municipalities that are in coalitions. Where there is those kinds of instability, the technical processes are compromised by the governance and leadership difficulties. That is one example. In other instances, there are projects that are stopped either because of protests or community organizations that want opportunities there, whether it is subcontracting or job opportunities, and unfortunately then stop some of the projects. In other instances, it is planning and supply chain and procurement of contractors that will deliver those different jobs, those different housing projects. These different lists of difficulties, we have mapped them out, working together with the department. We have sourced different technical capabilities, ranging from engineering, from legal, from finance, procurement, to be able to get to the bottom of whatever the challenges are that have been identified in whatever municipality, whatever metro that has been targeted.
Well, in the case then of the smaller local municipalities, in other words, outside of the metro, what are the issues there, or is it the same issues? I guess the metros came into sharp focus because in the main, as you stated earlier, because of the instability that we saw there as a result of coalitions. But in much more stable local municipalities, what are the issues there?
So the issue in local municipalities gets even more complex because at least in metros, there is targeted funding that is allocated to metropolitan municipalities, the Urban Settlement Development Grant. For local municipalities, the powers and functions, the responsibility to deliver human settlements lies at the provincial government. The key challenge that we have been facing is how the different spheres of government then plan together. Now, in the instance where the planning and the funding is directed at the province, and the province is unable, for whatever reason, to work with the municipality to align the plans and target to those constituencies and to the beneficiaries in the local municipality, then it creates a problem. When I take it back to the Constitution, the powers and functions to deliver human settlements actually lie with the national and provincial government. It is by agreement, by arrangement, that it then gets delegated to municipalities wherein the metros have been prioritized, and by extension, they also then get the funding instruments for it. In local municipalities, outside of the metros, it becomes more complex because now they are dependent on provinces to be able to deliver.
So how much of the problem then has to do with provincial government? In other words, is it fair for municipalities to be the ones carrying the blame?
Well, I would want to avoid pointing fingers at one another because we've taken a conscious view with the department to collaborate. But to answer the question more directly, as you're asking, it is unfair to ask of municipalities to deliver on a function that constitutionally is not to be delivered by them. And by extension, when constitutionally they are not mandated to deliver on that, the funding instrument is then not directed to the municipality. When there is that funding instrument that is not directed to them, then they don't build the necessary capacity. So many of the local municipalities don't even have a human settlement department. You can't blame them for not having a human settlement department because otherwise it becomes a shell that is not going to do anything. Until such time that we can be able to resolve the powers and functions and then be able to resource that adequately, unfortunately, we will remain with this difficulty. In the meantime, while we are looking at refining the legislative instrument, we unfortunately have to rely on the intergovernmental relations. We have to rely on cooperative governance, working together between all the arms of the state to deliver to the targeted beneficiaries.
Seana Nkhahle, Executive Director at Salga, thank you very much for your time.